What's
Hello,
up?
everyone. Yeah, wow. Hi, everyone. And we are live with our post-game reaction after a 1-1 draw, LA Galaxy versus Inter Miami, and there is so much to talk about in this game. I'm here with my amazing co-host Gian. My thoughts are all over the place, so we're gonna have to there's a lot of different subjects to get through, but we can start by saying, how are you, Gian? It's late for us. It's a little late. It's after 11 p.m. here on the East Coast, but I'll tell you what, I certainly have energy right now. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I definitely have energy as well. It was a bit of a frustrating game, and then it got interesting. I don't. I mean, I'm also all over the place. There's a ton of different things that we can touch on. How we feel about certain players, how we feel about really Inter Miami's energy as a whole, how they came into this game. But look, I will say this: ultimately, this is a good result in my eyes.
Great. I think
Ultimately,
it's a
it is
great
a great
result.
result. So yeah, no, I'm interested to see your perspective as well. I mean, obviously, we speak a lot and everything, so I have a inkling of what you think, and I'm probably sure we share a lot of the same opinions. But so, how do you feel? How do you feel, especially about that first half? How do you feel about how Inter Miami just came out to start the game?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I was sending a tweet from our Twitter to let people know that we're live and make sure that they are seeing that we're here. Okay. Um, Initial thoughts. um, it was a really bad performance from minute one. I will say, and I'm going to kind of go in and out of my thoughts, so just bear with me, but like what I'll start to say, this is an initial thought, and I'm really not using this as an excuse in any way, because again, most of our players just really didn't show up. Like, it wasn't a good performance. We are very lucky to get the 1-1 draw. But what I will say is that this was really the first big indication I've seen from opening weekend of MLS just how bad these replacement referees are. Because
Yeah,
for people who don't know, or I know not everyone's super in the loop, but with MLS right now, the normal referees who are refs for MLS and as professionals are on strike. So right now, the MLS is using replacement refs. And like for our game on Wednesday, and for most of the games, I mean, they've been a couple of VAR calls they've missed, and so VAR has gone back and said, okay, this was supposed to be a goal, this is a penalty, etc., which is fine. Like, a referee can't make a right decision every single second of the game, but from minute one, the referee, this man, had absolutely no grasp of the game and gave out 8 fouls in the first 3 minutes, all against Inter Miami. So what it told LA Galaxy within the first 3 minutes was that you can go ahead and foul, and you can just fake everything, and you can foul and you can fall, and every time an Inter Miami player comes close to you, you can fall. Some of them were real fouls. Like, Busquets had a horrific game. We're going to get to that, I'm sure. But some of them were fouls, some of them deserved yellow cards. But from minute one, there was no flow of the game because the referee called 15 fouls in the first 8 minutes and immediately set the tone, saying that, you're not having any free flowing play, you're not, etc. And so LA Galaxy took advantage of that from minute one. And I think it had an impact on how we played, etc. But like I said, it's really not an excuse. The players were terrible. Like, everyone was really bad. Messi had, I think, his worst game for Inter Miami, even though he ended up with a freaking amazing goal and is still amazing, and I'll choose him over anyone in the world. Like,
yeah,
but like 9 out of 10 of passes he normally makes, he didn't. They kept getting intercepted, and maybe it was just like, the play of the ball. Maybe it was because LA Galaxy was super front footed, etc. He just didn't have a great game compared to what we used to. Suarez, I know I gave him man of the match last match, and maybe it was the bias of being there in person, but wow, something has had to happen over the summer, because he scored how many goals last year in Brazil and was flying. There's
yeah.
a noticeable issue. Like, within the first 30 minutes, he's limping. Like, he must have re-aggravated his injury or something, because it's not that he just suddenly, like, I can't imagine that in 3 months he's like, oh, actually, just kidding, I have no muscle in my leg. Like, something has had to happen where it's something
Yeah, 100%. I mean, look,
off.
yeah, the referee was I mean,
Way out of his league, just way out of his league. From minute one, he let the players dictate the
yeah,
game. That's the problem. Minute one and in the end, look, we got an advantage because we got a red card out of them that was not a red card. And he just, every time a player made any type of reaction or fell or did anything, he immediately called it. And they knew from second one that they could take advantage of that. And that's a big problem when you have these big marquee matchups.
Yeah, you want to expect a little more out of these referees. Obviously, you know that these aren't MLS referees. These are guys that are coming out of USL, coming out of college and other inferior leagues. So,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you wouldn't expect them to be at the same level as an MLS referee. But, I've obviously we watched the game on Wednesday. That referee had some mistakes, but was nowhere near as bad as this referee. I watched other MLS games over the weekend, and some of the games did have their issues, but I will say this was probably one of the worst that I've seen as far as like MLS games refereed. And to your point, he was buying everything, every single thing that LA Galaxy
Everything
was
from minute
playing.
one.
And these guys are high IQ players and they realize these things. Man, Ricky Pucci, you couldn't even sneeze on him. Like it was ridiculous. I think Ricky Pucci spent about 80% of that game on the ground. Like it was infuriating and it was really tough. And it's tough to find rhythm. Like
No rhythm. There's no
the
rhythm.
game, it was really tough because it was getting paused like every 2-3 minutes there was a foul being called. And from the very beginning, there were yellow cards being shown that probably shouldn't have been yellow cards. Again, that's debatable by some, but like once you start giving yellow cards out and you start like it just kills the flow of the game. You have players that
Terrible.
aren't going to be able to do what they necessarily want to do because they're afraid of getting that red card, like right from the beginning. There were times where he should have shown a yellow and he didn't show yellow. So yeah, to your point, the refereeing was really bad this game. I'm not going to say that Inter Miami didn't maybe they didn't win or maybe they didn't do as good because of the refereeing. That was definitely
No,
an
no, no.
obstacle, but obviously this is more on Inter Miami. For me, Inter Miami came out of this game looking like a team that played 4 days ago. They came out really low energy. A team that played 48 hours, not 48, 4 days ago, and also had to travel and across the country. So
Yeah.
again, and we're talking about the second game of the season. We're talking about a team that played an insane preseason game. So they came out really low energy. You could tell from the get go. And I think that one of the things that I noticed from the very beginning, and I think a lot of us noticed is, man, like they were getting killed on that counterattack, especially on that first half. It was like nonstop. And that must have
Well,
been
yeah.
so tiring for them. Like it was just nonstop counterattacks.
It was just what happened is from minute one, LA Galaxy exploited, and we're gonna get to your comments here. We see your comments, and we feel similarly about a lot of them. But what I'll say is, from minute one, Tata, who did such a great game plan and such great players on Wednesday, and I'm not going to blame him because I think this is only the second game of the season. LA Galaxy hasn't played a game yet. So like it's not like you can know exactly what they're going to do and what they're going to look like, etc. Like he couldn't have known that. But like Busquets became within the first 5 minutes of the game completely out of the game defensively and offensively. So what normally would be his midfield role, he was no longer a midfielder, had to play back because he was getting killed by every single, by Pooch and whoever else was on their offensive foot. And so what was supposed to be a 4-3-3 was really like a 5-1.5-4 because for one thing, defensively, everyone, Busquets stayed back, couldn't get anything going on that end. In the midfield, Gressel and Gomez were just not finding the open spaces as they needed to, and that's partly because Busquets wasn't there to be in the open space with them, and because of that, they're playing short, and Messi and Suarez just aren't gonna run and play defense. Like they're just not, or Messi isn't at least. Suarez not at all is going to become a problem as we've seen very early on. Like you saw in the second half with Campana, he was running for those second balls and chasing and creating a lot of things out of nothing that Suarez just isn't going to do because of his knee. And because of that, it was ending up being, we had one person in the midfield, and that's why our our 60 minutes, our midfield was non-existent because there was nobody there. Busquets was playing back because he was getting beaten left and right. And then Messi and Suarez aren't coming back. So there's no middle of the pitch to get that movement happening. We'll just say it now. I know we're supposed to wait 10 games, and we will, and maybe a week's rest is going to make a difference. I give Suarez one more game of 70 to 80 minutes starting before I say it needs to be either a 4-4-2 or it needs to be Campana starting, because it's unacceptable. You can't have someone not run at all. Like, and it's not his fault. Like, it's not his fault in the sense that, like, I think he's making bad plays. He just physically can't run for some reason. He hurt himself, or it's so bad that he can't recover, or whatever the case may be. But Messi is not going to run and play defense, and he's not going to run and do the transition. So if he's not going to do that, that means your other two offensive players have to. And so if we're going to make a choice, who are we going to choose? We're going to obviously choose Messi. So Suarez has a very short leash now, because unless he's starting to make huge impacts in those first 60 minutes and scoring goals or creating ample assists and opportunities, he can't start. Because if Busquets is going to start, like, we have to start, it's going to have to start being choices, and Tata's going to have to start choosing who he wants to be playing, because he can't start Busquets and Suarez every game if they're not going to be able to hold their own in their position, and he's going to have to start choosing. He really is.
Yeah, 100%. I think that with Suarez, okay, to your point, he does not look the same as he did in Brazil. Something must have happened. Obviously, there's age involved, but it's just such a
something like aggravated or something.
Yeah, it's such a big difference. It has to be something else. It can't just be age. And for Suarez to be effective now, I think you've got to be able to get the ball to him in places where he's going to be able to just finish. And Inter Miami just they haven't done that. They haven't figured out a way to get him in positions to excel. And I'm not sure exactly what that is right now. I think that maybe, and that's why I said give it a 5 to 10 game kind of trial period to see if Inter Miami can figure out that can figure out how do we get Suarez into positions to excel, places where he can get the ball and it's just basically him finishing right in front of the goal, or right now I see him going out to and getting the ball like at the wing, or getting the ball in positions where it asks for him to try to take a player to try to create his own spaces, which is not what he's going to be doing at this age or at this moment in his career. He's got to be one of those 9 killers where put the ball in the air, he'll head it. Put the ball right outside the penalty area, and he'll finish it for you. So Inter Miami has to do a better job there. Busquets. Man, Busquets
he had a much better second half, though. Like his second half.
Definitely. But Busquets was somebody of his caliber, like with someone with his caliber, somebody that is a guy that comes with experience, the guy that is supposed to be one of the top dogs in this team. Like, some of these mistakes that he's making are so like rookie. Like, I don't understand. Like, some of these passes that he's making, and you know what I kind of think it is too. I think that. And I think that a lot of times he's trying to make plays based off of memory. So, it's like he already expects, and that could also be something that maybe the team is just part of getting the team together and them getting more playing time together in this new season, because a lot of his passes are based off of where he expects the other player to be. So he doesn't get the ball and like look up. I'm not saying all the time, but there are a lot of times where he'll get the ball and he automatically just turns around and is like, okay, somebody's going to be there. And that player just happens not to be there, and it turns into a turnover. So I think that some of those mistakes, again, might be where, as long as the team starts to get some more reps and they start to familiarize themselves more, hopefully some of those will start to go away. But I don't want to make too many, I guess, excuses for him. He needs to get better. He's one of the captains, one of the leaders of this team. And he definitely needs to get better. Look,
yeah, you see that comment by Giovanni, who says, I don't like Gressel with Busquets. I feel like they are not meshing. I want to talk about that for a second. Julian Gressel, who I thought had a very good performance on Wednesday, had an absolutely terrible performance tonight. And I mean, everyone did. Like, let's not beat around the bush. I think Yedlin was immense. Jordi Alba, immense. everyone else, including Messi, was not playing at their A game. And that's a big problem because this team, it's very much reliant on, if you're not going to be on your A game, each player needs to have a little bit of a role to play. And Gressel just didn't play his role. And to a point that I said here, that it also was said, was that Busquets, yeah, exactly. Busquets needs other two players around him who can run. I 100% agree. And because of that, like, Gressel and Gomez and him, it's not a great combination when you're playing on the back foot or you're playing against a very high-paced team, because Gomez wants to go up and Gressel just doesn't know where to go. And so because of that, you're having huge blocks in the midfield and you're having Busquets having to immediately become defensive because he's worried, you know?
Actually, I do want to say, though, look, as far as that midfield is concerned, yes, 100% agreed with the comments, agreed with what you said. Busquets needs two guys around him that are going to do the majority of the workload as far as being able to stop. Yeah, he's still not playing good enough, but that is what he needs. It's basically, you get the stop, get the ball to Busquets distributes, right? So that's kind of where I think the keys to success are going to be. But Gomez, whereas last season Gomez was, and we got to remember, I mean, Gomez, it's not like he got a ton of reps or playing time last season. He just came in. I'm gonna give huge props to Gomez, because one of the issues that we saw with Gomez, one of the issues we had last season is what you said, is where he would go up a lot and he'd leave a big space behind him. Man, these first two games, Gomez is the best midfielder in my eyes.
Oh, 100%.
He is the
100%.
best, better than Busquets. I mean, Gressel obviously better than Gressel. He is playing forward perfectly. He's coming back perfectly. He's been the guy to disrupt in the midfield. He's going all the way down to help in the back line. Man, props to Gomez. You can tell that's having a full off season to be with Inter Miami under his belt, having the Preolímpico with Paraguay, that helped. That did amazing for him. He has so much confidence in his game. I loved it. And I think that what has been mentioned here in the comments about Redondo, like, to me, Redondo comes in and he takes Gressel's spot, and you have Gomez, Busquets, and Redondo. And to me, that is a perfect midfield. Beautiful midfield. Much better. And if Busquets can clean up that the inaccuracy in his passes, man, you are set as far as midfield is concerned, and that'll definitely fix a lot of the stuff that happens with the midfield. The issue right now that we're having, especially with the team that has these really fast wings that plays such a fast counter, that's where we're having the issues. And I think that Tata's going to have to address that, and very quickly, because other teams are going to notice what LA did to us today. As soon as they'd get the ball from us, it was just quick counter through Puig to the wing, using their new Brazilian Peck, using the new guy from Belgium. Those guys are quick. If you get two quick wings and then you got a guy like Puig in the middle running that counterattack, man, Inter Miami was lucky not to have lost this game. So I think that's something that's going to have to figure out. And also, because if you I don't know if you saw this, but in the beginning, like, Alba couldn't do much on the offensive end because he was so preoccupied trying to cover that counter and having to run back. Like, at one point, the camera went into him. He was red, flustered, out of breath. I'm like, this guy, he's not going to be able to do anything on the offensive end because they've got him. And that's the same type of pressure that Inter Miami is going to have to do via counters on the opponent team, which we didn't do. Like, Inter Miami would get the ball and their counter was like, they were like basically walking with the ball. There was no pressure, that added counter attack pressure on the opposing team. So I think that's something that Tata's probably going to have to work on for us, is working on how we proceed with our counter attacks.
100%. Sorry, I'm just going.
The mistakes are based on fitness, which I'll agree with that. This definitely tired legs helped. Was part of that for sure.
Part of that, and that's why, honestly, I think that maybe it's because he like, this is only the second game, and I'll tell you what, the fact that we got a point out of this is fantastic. Yeah, like, wow, and it could prove to be a very important point, because I think this was Tata having to see firsthand if he needs to be making as many changes as he probably is going to have to make, and often with the rotation. And so he was stretching it and seeing what he could do. Tactically, obviously, like we're going to see immediately, especially with these young, strong, forward attacking players, it's going to be a challenge when playing against the counter with us. So agreed with you there. I think that Alba, but and here's what the problem is going to be, and this is just like me thinking as I'm like coming up with it, but what is going to be a problem for Tata Martino is that in the second half, you had to have Busquets and Alba in the game. You had to, because say what you want, the last 30 minutes, like Busquets did exactly what he had to do to get us a point. Like he really did. He especially towards the last 15 minutes, just a conductor, and like finds the game and figures out the specific things he needs to do. He got the other guy the red card. Like he still has those magnificent pieces, and so does Alba, and obviously so does Messi. But the problem is that the first however many minutes of it is a huge concern, because he's not going to have always that many opportunities to grow into the game over such a long period of time. And then when they score a goal, then we finally figure it out. Like that can't be the recipe forever. And just like you see with, the biggest players, like you see in the Premier League, whenever like a bottom table or mid-table team plays like Man City or Liverpool or whoever, like they put their absolute best performance that day and give everything they have, especially when it's a home game against one of the giants. And that's going to be with us. Like every time we go to a stadium, first of all, it's going to be so many Messi fans at every stadium. And then the home team is going to be annoyed that there are so many Messi fans rooting against them at their home place. The coach is going to be riling them up all week saying, "Buh." And just like what you saw tonight is what every single team is going to do when Inter Miami comes to see them. Every single team, because they tried. Pooch, after they scored a goal in the 75th minute, was acting like they were winning 5-0, and it was the 91st minute of the match. Like he's like pumping up the crowd, like we got this. And I'm like, there's still 20 minutes left of this game. You don't have anything. You're playing against Lionel Messi, and he didn't, because we scored, and it was it was a draw, but.
Does LA Galaxy always have a Lesso during halftime, or is it just for Messi and Inter Miami?
I think it's probably just because of because it's the season opener and Inter Miami and Messi. But like the atmosphere was great, and it was fun, and like I'm glad that they were playing with their hearts and stuff. But we're gonna get that every single game when we play against an opponent, especially when we're playing at their home field. So it's just something that we're gonna have to immediately start figuring out. Marvin, no, by the way, it's a really good point by Marvin, because but what I just said a few minutes ago and what I meant was that we are right now, we are very, very lucky and very happy to get a point. And like I had said also, Tata needed to be able to see in real time like how far he can take that unit, that starting 11, and see immediately what was going to happen with like the need of maybe rotations or playing against a completely different type of outlook and team that we just played on Wednesday to now, where it was super young, attacking, counter attacking, high energy, high press the whole game, creative, etc. Like he needed to see both sides of it. So agreed that we are 4 out of 6 points, great. But we've watched a lot of Inter Miami games, me and Gian, and we know what we're seeing, and we know what could be happening, and we're just
I mean, we're both really happy, definitely, with the 1-1 draw in LA. I don't think it was an easy game. LA played a really good defense on Inter Miami. I mean, the way that they had that back line and their midfield, they're closing up all the spaces for us. They made it really difficult. They played really good defense on the wings. Like this was a really tough game. So for Inter Miami to come out with a 1-1 draw and come out with a point in a really a really tough game, I think, for them is something that I think, and Ashley's also, we're very happy that this happened. So as far as overly critical, I would say we're just pointing out things that Inter Miami can do better, and that we actually believe they probably will do better. As we mentioned before, this is only the second game. things we are being critical of Suarez, but we also said from the previous episode that we still want to see 5 to 10 games to give him a chance to see if he can get back to his scoring self. We know that this is still early on in the season.
And it's not a knock on Suarez specifically, because I don't think he did anything particularly wrong. He looked really in physical pain. And that's what is a worry. It's not because I think he wasn't trying or anything like that. He just looks like he can't walk.
Yeah. He does. Run. I mean, yeah, most definitely. But, I definitely do think, Campana came in. Unfortunately, he didn't have too much of an impact on the game. I think that obviously we saw him run a bit more, but he just the way that they were defending, especially after going up by 1, it was a bit tougher, I think, for a forward like Campana and even like Suarez, if Suarez would have still been in at that time, to try to get into their zones right in the thick of it. They had a lot of people covering the middle part of the field, which is why it actually opened up the game for Alba to be able to do that, because he had more space on the wing. And man, that Alba Messi goal, can you tell that they know each other? Like, it was just goal.
And it's like, looking at the replay too, like there's not much that can surprise me with Messi, and this didn't surprise me, to be honest. This is to him probably like a 5 out of 10 goal, knowing how insane he is. But the fact that he did it with the outside of his foot against the roof of the net while falling backwards, like, that's not real. It's alien. Like, it's crazy. But I saw this comment too, and I was gonna say it too. While I think that playing as a the left back and in a better midfield, in a better setup, he'll be up enough where he'll still be able to get this type of combination. Like, he's still our left back. He still means a lot to us defensively. He needs to stay there. What I will say though is that we'll see Diego Gomez's injury. Hopefully it was a cramp, or it was just tired legs. But I think that very quickly, the person who will actually probably lose their place first is going to be Robert Taylor, because I think immediately I see a situation where Gomez goes up, Ruiz is in the midfield, and because Gomez and Alba for some reason seem to flow better on that left side and give Alba the spaces to be able to take those and do the combinations with Messi, and Gomez has that energy. Like, Robert Taylor, who has been immense for us and who is, when he doesn't score a goal or he doesn't get chances early on, makes little to no impact in the game. And we really, like I was saying earlier, to touch on the point, when you have a few players who are not going to be running the whole game and who are going to be very selective with their bursts of energy and play, every other player has to be like doing a lot. And Robert Taylor was non-existent this game, and that's going to not be able to happen. And so I think that Gressel, etc., like, they are going to have very short leashes in terms of what Tata Martino is going to tinker with first before it's any of the other 4, in my opinion.
Yeah, the only issue with me is if you take Taylor out, you got to remember, like, the way you're playing right now, at least your top 3 are Suarez that's not running, Messi that doesn't run most of the game. As he said, he likes to walk, scope out the game, and then he chooses his runs very wisely. And he's not a wing anyways. Like, he's every time you see him on the lineup, in the image, they always show him like if he's a wing, he doesn't play on the wing. So you really kind of lose that versatility on the wing if you don't have a guy like Robert Taylor, which is why I love to have him there.
Gomez does a good job when that's his position. Like, when he's starting as a left winger, I think he does good. He did good in the preseason game. I don't know. I'm just saying, I think.
But it's a different thing though, because Robert Taylor, and we've mentioned this, like, Robert Taylor and Gomez are 2 different players. Like, Robert Taylor can't do what Gomez does, and Gomez can't do what Robert Taylor does. Robert Taylor, again, can by himself create his own spaces, create his own opportunities, and that's not something that Gomez necessarily is his skill set. Gomez is amazing, but that's 2 different players. And something that I like, that I've, again, it's the beginning of the season, we're taking this one game at a time. Last season, there were a lot of times where Robert Taylor and Jordi Alba would associate themselves on that left wing, and they do a lot of really good plays where Jordi Alba would bring the ball up, touch to Taylor, and then Alba would overlap and they'd play off of each other, and they did really good. So like I think that would be my only thing, is just losing that element that we don't have any other player right now that does that, what Robert Taylor does. We have no other player. Like Cristian Medina could have been one of those from Boca, but we unfortunately didn't get him. Facundo Farias was the other guy that we had. But once we lost Facundo Farias, it's basically Robert Taylor is the only guy that we have that has that skill set.
No, I know, and it's not. I don't disagree. Like especially when he goals and when he shoots and when he scores goals, you obviously see his value. But in a game like today, when it's depending on how the tactics are and what you're seeing, is I can just say I see scenarios where you see Ruiz take that place that Gomez is playing, and you see Gomez go up to the left wing, while Gomez does not have obviously the finishing or the creation of shot that Robert Taylor has, he has though the effort and the press and the trying to make something happen. Like, did Robert Taylor get 3 touches in the first half?
No, my point is he didn't get a lot.
But like Gomez would force himself to and create those things. And while maybe it's not as pretty and it wouldn't necessarily have the same type of immediate impact in a goal, it has an immediate impact in getting the offense moving in that final third. And you have Messi who can create every shot he wants, and you're really supposed to have Suarez. And if Suarez can't, then that's a different story. But like, you don't need all 3 of them to just be standing there waiting to create a moment. Like, that's not going to be that's not going to be useful. Like, and I'm just saying, if when they're starting to figure that out, of the 3, the first one to go is going to be Robert Taylor. So it's just something to
and we'll see. It'll be the same thing that we saw last game. Yeah, like Robert Taylor went out, Diego Gomez went up, David Ruiz slotted into Diego Gomez's spot, and it worked out, and we scored. So definitely
we'll see. I like Robert Taylor. I said it last week. Like I think he deserves to have a starting role, and he's fantastic, and he's been fantastic for us. But when you have, depending on the tactics, depending on the game, depending on the opponent, I can just see that you may see different situations where they go, and I can see why sometimes Tata would choose Gomez to start in that left wing instead and have the reinforcement in the midfield, because it's not like he played bad. It's just, it's a war of attrition. And like with the players who have to stay on the field, that means other things have to be compromised. Like Julian Gressel is going to have to, I hope he gets compromised, because it's not good enough when we know Busquets' limitations, not good enough, because you have to overcompensate. Like that's, with Messi and Suarez doing what they have, the other winger has to overcompensate with the energy on the final third. Like, it's, you know what I'm saying? Like in each phase of the game, if this is how we're going to play and these are the players we're going to play with, then you're going to have other players bring 1,000 times more energy and compensate for those other aspects of the game in order for us to be able to not get beat out every single possession.
Yeah. And I like this comment is good, because this is true. They were dominated. Especially in that first half. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people didn't get many touches. For the most part, it was Inter Miami. Whenever they'd get the ball, I think they would get a few touches and then they'd lose the ball. And then, LA Galaxy basically dominated us the first half. There weren't a lot of players throughout the game that stood out as far as having a really good game. To me, if you really look at like who was really good at that game, it obviously it's going to be Gomez. That's for me one of the top guys. Gomez played an amazing game, that game from beginning to end. It's going to be Drake Callender, who's obviously is Callender. Like,
how have we not spoken about Drake Callender yet?
Drake Callender is, man, just as good as we thought he was, just as good as we've been saying he was. He played really well. Obviously saved us with the penalty, had some good spot. That goal that he had, he did what he was supposed to do. It was just unlucky. But he got the ball, and once he saved it to the side, never to the middle. He saved it to the side, and it just so happened that there was a LA Galaxy player there. But Drake Callender, amazing. And then you've got to give it to the 2 guys that scored the ball or were in the scoring play. You've got to give it to Alba and Messi. But other than that, there weren't too many bright spots. So definitely. When you're talking about Robert Taylor, you can't be too overly critical either, because again, not many people. Overall, it was a bad team effort. Not a bad team effort. Overall,
It was
Inter
bad for them.
Miami. Well, I think overall Inter Miami, as I said, they just looked tired. But I'm going to say that I am happy that they came out that second half with more energy. And that to me was important because that's what I was thinking. Like these guys did not look like themselves in that first half. When they were in that locker room, I was like, they have to find some sort of motivation. They've got to find something to bring it out from within and come out with energy. And that second half, they definitely came out with more energy. Right off of the bat, they had two opportunities with Alba that Alba got the ball, and I think in both opportunities he got the ball into the box, and there was chances for danger there. So yeah, like much better second half in my opinion. So I'm gonna give props to the boys on that one. They could have easily come out just as flat in the second half and tired. So yeah, I'm happy as far as that. That shows resilience in a team that was getting dominated the whole first half to come out and say, like that is it. That's it. We're done. We're going to play our game. We're going to forget everything that happened in that first half, and they never gave up till the very end. That was not a tough. After going down 1-0 late in the game, and then
I thought we honestly in the last 5 minutes, I was like, we may just win.
Yeah,
so
there was a chance to win. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, but I totally agree with you, and I really am not trying to be harsh in terms of like, oh, I'm so negative, the season's over, like everything has to be done over, our players suck. Like that's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is that what we have to figure out in these first 5 to 10 games, and we said it with Suarez, so we should say it with everyone, is that we have to figure out based on trying to exploit the best of our team, which is Alba and Messi having those interactions. It's Busquets being able to be the conductor, control the midfield, be able to get the passes generated. If we know those roles have to happen to be successful, it's about fitting everyone else into the other puzzle pieces to work it out so that it's still a balanced effort across the board. And so it'll be interesting to see it. To give bright spots, like you said, the fact, Inter Miami teams of the past, like every other year before this, we would never get a result from this game. Never would we get a draw. Never would we get a point and almost a win. Never. And so that already shows like the quality we have, etc. Look, DeAndre Yedlin, let me tell you something. I can't say one bad thing about DeAndre Yedlin these first 2 games. I can't, and I won't, because that's, I think, unfair to him, because I think he put in such a phenomenal defensive effort these past 2 games, which is what we have said we need from him. And we need, like, our back line, which gave us so much trouble last year, has, for all intents and purposes, done their job. Like, obviously LA Galaxy missed a lot of chances tonight and there was problems, but DeAndre Yedlin has been fantastic defensively. He doesn't put in the best crosses. I won't lie, he doesn't. But you've got to start somewhere, and I want to give him credit because I think he's played his heart out defensively these 2 games.
Yeah. I mean, that was a scary, I think, thing for us, our back line, and to think that we've only given 1 goal in 2 games is a good start. It's definitely a good start for
our defense. We were last year, compared to where we were in this preseason. Huge. And I think we'll see. I mean, to be fair, Christoph really didn't do anything wrong in this game, but like I expect to see Frere start next game unless there's some other.
Well, that was the plan. Yeah, that was the plan. That's why they brought him in. So
I think we'll see Redondo play next week. I don't think he'll start, but I certainly think you're going to see him in the second half.
But we know if he does start at the point that he does start, we know, or we agree it's for Gressel, right?
For Gressel,
yeah, it's got to be for Gressel, and I think
it's for Gressel, and maybe that it's for Gressel, but also I could see a situation where, like I said, that like Robert Taylor may be considered the one who doesn't get the start because they put Gomez up there because they want to add more enforcements to the midfield. Like I could just see a situation where that, again, like Taylor he's fantastic and he's done amazing goals, but when he disappears, he can't disappear when Messi and Suarez are not going to do anything else. Like they have a very specific job to do. your third offensive player then has to do all the other intangibles in a game. And if he doesn't do it, then we can't afford to have that kind of imbalance, is my only point out of it. If he does good things and he puts himself in and he's, pushing, etc., even if he doesn't score, like, still valuable. But like in a game like tonight, I think that if Gomez was starting on the left wing, I don't think he's going to score or make anything different, or who knows what the difference would be. But what I would say is that you would probably see that LA Galaxy would not have had such an easy time taking the ball from us when we were in the final third and immediately transitioning. Like, I don't think he would have let that happen as easily. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna go.
I love Robert Taylor. Look, I love Robert Taylor. I'm just saying we will see. We'll see, because it's going to have to be some other players are going to have to be sacrificed for Messi, Suarez, Alba, etc.
Gomez is so valuable in that midfield right now that I don't. Again, going back to the original point, unless it's a swap in the second half later on where that David Ruiz goes in and then Gomez moves up to start, I don't want to see Gomez not be in the midfield for a majority of the game.
But what if you have a midfield that is Ruiz, Busquets, and Redondo?
And then who comes in for Ruiz if he has to go? Like that's the thing. Like David Ruiz is almost like I'm Gressel for David Ruiz. David Ruiz is like the most natural sub for Gomez right now. Like it is perfect. Like you almost don't miss a beat with how good David Ruiz is playing. I don't feel confident with David Ruiz coming out and Gressel. I don't think Gressel can do what David Ruiz is doing. At least he hasn't proven.
But David Ruiz can also play 90 minutes. He's played 90 minutes a lot of times last season. He played 90 minutes in a few preseason games.
Yeah, he can.
He's 19.
No, 100%. But I'm just saying I don't know if for any reason you have to swap him out. Like there's nobody there that can go in and be just a natural fit that I can think of. I don't know. I just really love that midfield, and I would hate to disrupt that midfield until maybe again in the second half at some point if you have to. But either way, I would agree. And again, we go back to a lot of the times we make the same point with the amount of games. You're gonna probably see lineups where Robert Taylor, to your point, isn't starting, and Diego Gomez is up front. And again, we've seen it worked. They scored last game. So I'm not saying that can't happen. Just my preference. I would rather Gomez start in that midfield. I
just need Gomez to start. Like, I think as long as he's on the field, I'm happy. Agreed. If it could be for the midfield and Robert Taylor can be active in creating, etc., I'd love that. We may see situations where they rely more so and they have, we have a lot of other midfield options besides Gomez, where Gomez could maybe have other value. Like, I don't think it's going to be because it's not going to be in spite of Gomez. It's going to be because Gomez is so valuable that they just need him in more places on the field, Yeah.
So that makes sense.
We'll see. It was a hell of a game though. And I, already 2 games in, we already have seen, we've already seen the all the emotions you can feel out of an Inter Miami game. But, I think that we can probably wrap it up because it's after midnight here on the East Coast. Overall thoughts, I'll go first. My overall thoughts are that we knew that there were going to be some troubles and pitfalls with this team, some issues with tactics, tired legs, etc., that we're going to have to see how those shake out as the games keep going. But 2 games in, 4 out of 6 points, playing in a very hostile environment against a good team who had a lot of energy and was acting like it was their World Cup final. The fact that we got a point and a goal and could have even won after a really, bad first half, etc., just shows the potential of this team and the availability we have. And we'll keep going, and I hope we can continue to build. And look, 4 out of 6 points, I won't complain about it. No way.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that. 4 out of 6 points, man. If you like, that's a really good way to start off a season, especially if you've got 1 at home, 1 away, and you come out with 4 points. You could ask nothing more of the boys. They did a great job as far as
tough environment too.
As far as results, as far as results are concerned, they did a great job, especially after a quick turnaround, 4 days off, and then right back to it across the across the country to a really hard game. So props to them. I'm happy. There's work to do, definitely. There's we've got other players coming in that should make the job easier on the rest of the team, that should make the team stronger. So I'm looking forward to that as we start to, we get Freire in the defense, we get Redondo in the midfield. I think the offense is something that will hopefully start to click as well. That's something that we can see is a bit lacking. So maybe Tata can hopefully try to figure out some things there. But overall, I'm just happy how we've started, and I'm excited for what's to come. And
me too. Yeah, we're not so negative. We're not so negative. It's just it's not that this is negative. This is us just giving our feelings about, like the things that we're seeing. And look, don't forget, we have experienced a lot of bad performances from Inter Miami and a lot of losses and a lot of tough games and tough personnel. And so it's more so us just trying to help reach our potential and see, we have so much talent, we have so much opportunity, seeing how it shakes out game after game. It was a tough start, a tough turn, but 4 out of 6 points. We are happy. We will be back midweek with another episode about lots of cool things, about our game against our in-state rival, our Sunshine Classico, happening this Saturday, 6 days from now. Home game. Should be a really great atmosphere for that. Yeah. And look, we're just getting started. We're excited. Vamos, 4 out of 6 points. Vamos, Messi. It was a great goal. He's still the freaking best player in the world. I would take him over anyone. I would. And so we go from there, right?
Yep. We're excited. Hey, guys, do us a favor. Make sure to follow us at Messi Co on
Twitter.
X, which is X aka Twitter, aka X. Make sure you follow us on that. We've got a lot of content on there. We're tweeting a ton of good stuff on there. So make sure you follow us on there, and make sure you like the video. Make sure you go back, hit the
let us know what you think.
Yeah, that's gonna help us a lot, because the more you like that video, the more people get to watch it. So that's really cool. So we appreciate you guys. We appreciate you. I don't know where you guys are in the world right now. I'm sure there are a lot of you that are all over the place. But we're excited that you guys are with us right now. For us, it's past midnight, is late. So we're going to try to get some shut-eye. But we're excited that you guys are with us. We really appreciate talking to you guys, man. Like, we really do. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And we'll see you next time.
See you next time, guys. Bye.